Hi, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. The dispute continues regarding a recent audit involving the FSIN, or Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations. Indigenous Services Canada and the KPMG accounting firm released their forensic audit of the FSIN almost 2 weeks ago. It found $34.3 million in ineligible, questionable, or unsupported funding. The FSIN says they provided over 51,000 documents in response to 717 questions and have now released 11 facts addressing the findings. Last week, ISK first said the FSIN never requested a full copy of the audit, and then later clarified they had. However, ISK says its policy is not to share full audits with funding recipients to protect sensitive information, adding the FSIN will receive a line-by-line summary of the findings. FSIN has since posted 11 numbered facts about the audit to their social media. They defend everything from high vehicle mileage to COVID-19 expenses being fully accounted for, and allege opposition forces tried to sway the 2024 FSIN election in favor of, quote, Ottawa-aligned candidates. Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe was asked about the audit recently and praised 4th Vice Chief Craig McCallum's letter on accountability to Saskatchewan First Nations chiefs.
I did appreciate Chief McCallum's comments to ensure everyone is moving forward in an honest and humble way, and I think that is in there are some words for all of us.
Still in Saskatchewan, where Megan Gallagher went missing in September 2020, her remains were found 2 years later near St. Louis. Now the last of 9 people charged in connection to her death is standing trial. Roderick William Sutherland is facing charges of manslaughter and indignity to human remains before a judge and jury. Sutherland is the first to face a judge and jury. The other 8 pleaded guilty to lesser charges or had them stayed. A publication ban has been put in place and prevents details of Sutherland's case being shared with the public until it concludes. The trial is expected to last 3 weeks at Saskatchewan's Court of King's Bench. Nearly 750,000 students throughout Alberta stayed home on Monday after the Alberta Teachers Association went on strike. Rallies were held Sunday in Calgary and Edmonton in support of the teachers. An estimated 18,000 teachers, parents, and supporters were at the Alberta Legislature. The 51,000 teachers from the public, Catholic, and Francophone schools are asking for pay increases, hiring of 5,000 new teachers, and the reduction of class sizes. They have been working without a contract since August of 2024. A new addictions treatment clinic is opening up in Winnipeg with a focus on helping First Nations in Manitoba's Island Lake region. 2 organizations, Anishinaabe Okinawan and 4 Arrows Regional Health Authority, developed the service with healthcare providers and peers who have lived experiences with addictions. The Manitoba Anishinaabe Mobile Action Network, or MAMAN for short, will provide addictions and health services to urban and remote communities, along with its hub facility near the Winnipeg Airport. The organization will travel to the Island Lake region, providing residents up there access to addiction treatment. Anishinaabe nations like St. Teresa Point, Wasagamak, Red Sucker Lake, and Garden Hill will benefit. The organization says that just last year, rapid access to addictions medicine, or RAM clinics in Winnipeg, treated 144 individuals from Garden Hill alone. 60 Garden Hill residents are already on the wait list for treatment and support.
This is why this clinic matters so deeply. Here, peers with lived experiences work alongside nurses and physicians. Here, care is brought closer to our nations through a hub and spoke network that reaches even the most remote places. And here, we begin to close the gap between the care people need and the care they can access.
Saugeen First Nations' fight to be recognized as the rightful owner of a popular beach in Ontario ended over a month ago. That's when the Supreme Court of Canada refused to hear the town of South Bruce Peninsula's appeal. Over the weekend, the community joined together for some sun and sand to celebrate getting the beach back. Here's APTN's Annette Francis with more.
Buddies Gage, Paul and Reese Ritchie challenge each other's aim. They're celebrating on Saugeen Beach with other members of the Saugeen community.
It just feels nice to know that we finally got our land back after so many years of fighting for it.
Saugeen Beach has been a popular destination since the early 1900s, when it was known as Sauble Beach. The property runs on the northern edge of the First Nation. It's just over 2 kilometers of prime beachfront that was not included as part of the reserve due to a surveying error in 1854. Councillor Sonia Root says it's been a fight for generations.
When I was a kid, I remember my dad was on band council at that time, and he showed me where the boundary was, and he told me one day we're going to get that back. That's our beach. And he told me that, and he's been gone for a while, but today his grandchildren and great-grandchildren are here for the victory, so it feels amazing.
Councillor Randall Coggy says today's private victory celebration is huge for the community. It's a validation of their history.
This victory is in honor of our ancestors. This wasn't just a one-generation fight. We've been fighting this since before the ink dried on the treaty, right? So it's been a 170-year fight to get to this point. And I think this victory is something that belongs to all our people, especially our ancestors. But more importantly, I am encouraged when I see our children here today.
According to Coggy, relations with the town of South Bruce Peninsula will take some time to repair, but with a willingness to work together, it can happen. Right now, the community needs to work on the second phase of the case, how to get compensation for being dispossessed of the land for all those years.
My hope is that we don't have to litigate that, but in fact we can resolve that through negotiations. The one thing that I think was very interesting about this case, that I think stands apart from a lot of cases, that our treaty partner actually stood with us. Canada was actually an ally and acknowledged that these lands should have been and always should have been part of Saugeen. So that you don't see that very often. I think that was a very unique example, but my hope is that we work to resolve those issues through negotiations. We don't have to litigate that portion of it.
For Paul and others celebrating today, the memories of a victory will last for generations to come.
I'm pretty sure that my kids and my kids' kids will be pretty excited to know that their dad and grandpa, grandma and mom helped change the sign.
Annette Francis, APTN National News, Saugeen First Nation.
Beach days feel like a distant memory right now. Well, we're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how you can continue the conversation. If you have a story you'd like to share, you can send us an email to news@aptn.ca. You can read and watch our stories by visiting our website, aptnnews.ca. You can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. Time for a quick break. When we come back, we'll tell you about a new competition for Indigenous entrepreneurs. Stick around. Welcome back. Last Saturday, truckloads of new and used hockey gear was handed out to young players in Barrie, Ontario, all thanks to the annual Indigenous Hockey Equipment Drive.
We have 16 communities coming here to pick up over 500 bags of gear and 1,000 hockey sticks and tons of new gear. What we do is we sort them and then we bag them.
We're looking for brand new helmets and brand new skates and gloves. Those are kind of the essentials to get everyone going.
We are remote. We have barriers to getting equipment and getting our kids over, and so that's why this is helpful for us as well.
This started off as something from the heart. It still is, but now it's turned into a passion, a part-time job, and we've got so many people helping us.
Over the years, we've been able to donate over $2 million worth of equipment to this project, and it's from generous donors from all over the place.
We supply 8 storage units to allow this charity to function all year long, and we're very, very proud and happy to be a part of this.
Right at the bottom, small, just
Everybody asks me, why do you do this? It's all about the kids.
It's like Christmas for these kids when they get all this brand new gear. Some of it, of course, is used, some of it is brand new, and it's special to watch them when they open it.
It's estimated 6,000 hockey bags and 10,000 sticks will be delivered to 70 communities across the country by the end of October. Powwow Pitch is a competition for Indigenous entrepreneurs to pitch their business ideas for a chance to win part of $100,000 in cash. Kiwetanuk Consulting was founded by Victoria Perry and Sunday Quesacapo. They are in the running under the Professional Services and Trades category. Julia Ross spoke with Sunday about their pitch.
It's hard to feel any anxiety or nervousness in regards to outcomes because you're like, well, you know, this other Indigenous entrepreneur is going to be helping our communities too in another way. So we're all winning in the end, really.
Sunday Quesacapo is co-founder of Kiwetanuk Consulting. They are from Opaskwayak Cree Nation and a member of Kinnisau Sipi, Norway House Cree Nation. Quesacapo's company is a finalist in the Professional Services and Trades category in Powwow Pitch. Quesacapo and their business partner Victoria Perry have an idea to speed up the process of Gladue reports.
So we're currently working with a tech company to make our software a bit faster and to be able to make Gladue reports less expensive and speed up the timelines as well. And we're also coming from lived experiences, we're coming from a community perspectives, and so we're really hoping that this prize money will lead us to bringing more of our community members home.
Gladue reports are used in the court to help judges understand an Indigenous person's life before sentencing. Gladue reports are considered integral to the restorative justice process.
We connect with community members and their family and friends, and we help tell their story towards the court and be able to give them a voice in a very difficult, sometimes system.
Gladue reports have a wait list up to 6 months and cost up to $6,000. The backlog is not helping anyone. Kiwetanuk Consulting will try to change that.
Kiwetanuk actually means north wind in the Swampy Cree language. And so we really want to honor our name and continue working with often underserved communities, including the North and the Arctic.
Writing Gladue reports is a lot of work. The accused person's family, friends, former school teachers, elders all have to be interviewed. Kiwetanuk will create a software program to transcribe these interviews and cut through the red tape.
And so being able to have a private transcription software where their information is going to be protected, but also helps us organize who's saying what and what's happening. It speeds up a lot of the process. It cuts a lot of hours into the transcription process and makes our work less expensive and more accessible for not only ourselves, but for our community as well.
Quesacapo says the pitching experience so far has been empowering.
Yeah, to be able to represent not only being an Indigenous business, but also as a 2S LGBTQ+ business as well, it's very empowering to be showcased among fellow Indigenous entrepreneurs in such a great framework. It has been very impactful, not only for ourselves, but for community. It's very obvious that our type of work and diversity is very much needed in our communities to make it more safer, diverse, and inclusive.
Final pitches happened October 2nd. Winner of the $25,000 prize will be announced during the Powwow Pitch Grand Finale on October 22nd. Julia Ross, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Good luck to all those in the running. Filmmaker Lena Minifee is our guest on an all-new episode of Face to Face tonight. Minifee recently co-directed her debut film, The Good Canadian, which premiered on APTN on the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. The documentary provides a look at Canada's ongoing injustices against Indigenous peoples. Minifee says even she was shocked by some of the things they heard during the filming of The Good Canadian.
How easy it is to be swept up in foster care and group homes is incredible. You know, things that regular non-Indigenous parents do just wouldn't be a flag, and it is a flag to those social workers who are quite young, you know, most of them in their 20s and non-Indigenous. Like small things on checkups in houses, like things that we heard that if a woman could be written down or written up on her report if she had like a bruise on her arm, or like her bra strap was showing, or there's like a hole in her pants, or a couple dishes in the sink. Things that we all kind of have in our lifetime could be written up as a report as a justification for keeping your kids away from you. I don't know anybody in Canada that has a perfect dust-free, sink-free life. I don't. I mean, some of the birth alert stories that we've heard of you know, there being legitimate plans in place and maybe like even 10 or 12 people surrounding a mother who, you know, has quit substances, has done everything right, has corrected her entire life, and then still gets her kid taken away.
And you can catch our interview with Lena tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch The Good Canadian right now over on APTN Lumi. Time now for a look at one of this week's web poll questions. We're asking whether you think residential school denialism should be classified as hate speech. Yes, no, or unsure. You can go to our website, aptnnews.ca/poll to cast your ballot. Still to come, an interview with a 60 Scoop survivor turned musician. Stay with us. Welcome back. Here's a look at your current conditions. Sunny and 23 in Fredericton, 19 under the sun in Halifax, 8 for Kuujjuaq and Nain, showers and 19 in Montreal, sunny and 10 in Val-d'Or, 14 at this hour in Sault Ste. Marie, showers and 18 in Ottawa, 10 in Thunder Bay, 6 in Sioux Lookout. In northern Manitoba, 4 in God's Lake, 1 in Thompson. Just 5 in Winnipeg, 4 and sunny in Dauphin. Sunny and 7 in Regina and Estevan, 8 in Saskatoon. 6 in Meadow Lake, cloudy and 3 in La Ronge. In northern Alberta, showers and 4 in High Level, 8 with rain in Fort Chipewyan. 13 in Edmonton, 22 under sunny skies in Lethbridge. 11 in Vancouver, sunny, and 12 in Kamloops. 12 under sunny skies in Prince George, sun's out, and 7 in Smithers. 7 in Old Crow, 10 in Whitehorse. Cloudy and 6 in Yellowknife, 7 in Norman Wells. -5 in Sax Harbor, +2 in Pawlatuck. 2 in Chesterfield, snow, and 3 in Baker Lake. -8 in Resolute, snow, and +1 in Joe Haven. The 60 Scoop took over 11,000 Indigenous children from their homes to live with non-Indigenous families between 1960 and 1990. Saskatchewan piloted a unique program called AIM, the Adopt an Indian and Métis project. Video journalist Rachel May sat down with a musician who was taken by the AIM program.
I just want the world to love more. You know, I want us to realize that we're all human beings and that we're all here for the same purpose, which is to live and thrive and instead of just surviving.
Raven Reed is a folk musician. She was born in Yellowknife but raised in Saskatchewan. She was just 4 years old when she was taken from her family and placed in a children's group home in Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, as part of the Adopt an Indian and Métis program known as AIM, which would later be linked to the 60 Scoop. She was adopted later by a family in Prince Albert in the early 80s. According to a study done by postdoctoral fellow Alison Stevenson at the University of Saskatchewan, the AIM program was piloted in Saskatchewan in 1967, with the policies continuing into the 1980s. She says the stated goal was to increase adoptions of Indigenous children. The study goes on to say children were advertised for adoption on television, radio, and in newspapers to promote transracial adoption. Reed says being tied to that program comes with mixed emotions.
So knowing that I was part of this program angered me, made me sad, but it also empowered me to speak up and tell the truth, because you can't have reconciliation, truth and reconciliation without the truth first.
She says she turned to poetry, painting, reading, writing, and eventually music as a way to heal from the trauma she experienced growing up. In her early 20s, while visiting her adoptive parents, she answered the phone and discovered her birth family had never stopped searching for her.
I finally picked up because I happened to be over at my adoptive parents' house at that time, and she told me who she was. I didn't even know I was Cree my entire life. I thought I was Dene. That's what my parents told me.
But the reunion wasn't without pain. Reed says the impacts of being taken were felt by everyone.
It's been difficult to reconnect, but it's also almost impossible to build a relationship, because when we were taken, my mother and her siblings turned to alcohol, and so addictions played a huge part in that.
In recent years, Reed lost her adoptive father, her biological mother, and her adoptive sister, all within months of each other. She says her story is filled with hardships, but also with strength and resilience.
There's so many things that we still face today here in Canada on treaty lands that we need to stand up and say something and point it out and be brave enough to come together as a community, as a country, to face those truths, to listen to them, and to stand up and do something about. There's 94 calls.
Reed wants all survivors of the 60s scoop residential schools and those living with the intergenerational impacts of these systems to know they are heard.
I want you to know that you're not alone, that we're all out here feeling what we feel and trying to make a difference. I think that if we try to get onto the same page, which is love each other, you know, how you love yourself, we can make a difference. We can change the future for our children and our grandchildren.
Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Thanks, Rachel. That's all the time we have for your first look at the day's news. You can stay up to date with the very latest by visiting our website, aptnnews.ca. And I will be back here at 6 p.m. Eastern Time tonight with your APTN National News. I'm Dennis Ward. Marcy McGuitch, thanks for being with us. Have a great afternoon.